Yo, welcome to the video. We doing part 2 of First things first, what happened in the past 2 months? Well, almost nothing. When you spend 5 days a week in the middle of bumfuck nowhere and doing military shit, you only get 2 days a week where you can effectively work. Imagine what I could do in those 5 days. The game could already look like Ray Tracing Super Mario or some Unreal Engine slop. Of course I didn't do nothing. I implemented stand combat using mechanical hands teleporting. The combo behaves differently whether you are locked onto a target or not. So you teleport to the enemy, teleport behind him on some anime weep shit, then you punch through portals, like a punch barrage through the portals, which looks sick. Currently looks like just dildos coming out of portals because I don't have a fist model yet. Then you teleport to the guy to do the finishing blow. Alright, I don't want to explain what the not locked on combo does. You can just use your eyes. In the first part in the description I wrote that I will go into depth about the coding aspects, and we will see by the viewer retention if anybody even gives a Let's take a deeper look into the teleporting mechanic. When using a function to set the value of the global position of the player, there are no checks, so the player can just teleport into buildings, into walls, which is not good in a game. So how do you solve that problem? This is the previous function, which overrides the current player position with the player position plus offset without checking anything. I just rewrote the whole thing into a helper class. Godot has tools to test move objects along a direction and checking for collisions of the object's collision mask without actually having to move the object. So the first step of checking how far the player can teleport is by test moving him in the direction of the teleport with the max distance and checking for a collision. If the player collides during the travel along the straightforward vector, the collision point is saved onto the input variable collision point. If the function were like this, the player could not teleport into walls. However, even a 1-inch high obstacle would prevent the player from teleporting further. So you also specify a step height. I run a second test move of the player with the step height applied. If the player's distance to collision with the step height is higher than the player's collision distance without the step height, there is a small obstacle in the way, and we teleport the player up the step height and forward to the collision point and snap him down to the floor. Then you also need to check for snap down, because if the player teleports forward and the ground is at a slope, the player would start falling. So you check for step height after the teleport. If the distance of the player to the ground is smaller than step height, you snap the player down to the floor. Let's look at it in action. Here the curb is a bit higher than the street and you snap down instead of starting to fall. You also snap up the curb. Here you can see it better. You can snap up if it's shorter than the step height, and you stop if it's taller than the step height. Because the enemy is also in the player's collision mask, he stops to punch him in the face.
6, 7, 8.
Son, I love you so much.
Alright, now that the entire audience is gone, we'll take a quick break from the boring stuff and talk about the stylistic choices I plan for the game. There is no way that I can make 3D models for the game, even if they are low poly like every other indie game ever. So I'm thinking of paying a 3D artist for models and animations. In terms of combat, the attacks are dependent of the animations because the weapons are attached directly to the hand and foot bones. I'm thinking of an art style like this. Very talented artist I saw on Instagram, and the music to be some amalgamation of Starjunk 95 and pendulum type drum and bass for fighting. Here are some songs I made trying to fit the theme. I get better with every song, so maybe in a few years they will not make your ears bleed. You can listen to my songs on Spotify or any other streaming platform. We'll see each other with no progress in 3 months. Cue the outro.
That boy say.
Hey, boy. Hey, boy, you a fool, boy. Hey, show how it work,